There are over 213,000 nurse practitioners currently employed in the United States. 86.9% of all nurse practitioners are women, while 13.1% are men. The average age of an employed nurse practitioner is 42 years old. The most common ethnicity of a nurse practitioner is white, which is 77.5%, followed by Hispanic and Latino, 6.7%, Asians, 6.3%, and Black, African American, 4.7%. Our guest, he's the first ever male, Black, young man to graduate from the nursing program at Clarke University of Iowa as a nurse. He earned his master's at the University of Tampa. He is currently a senior nurse practitioner manager. He's under 40 years old. He went to Lakewood, played football at Lakewood, played at Dubuque University, was a quarterback. He walks the street amongst us. He's not bougie. He's not, living in the suburbs. He's just a down to earth guy. And the fact that he's the first ever to do something is to be applauded. And without further ado, I want to introduce our guest today, Kevin Hartzog.
Hey, cool, boys. Got a little company here.
Looks like we got company.
Looks like we got company.
Don't you what you do?
Uh-oh, we got company.
Uh-oh, fellas. We got company.
Uh-oh, we've got company.
Uh-oh, we got company.
It's my team. It's my quarterback.
Yes.
I like it.
Yeah, dope intro.
Welcome, man. Welcome. And
Yes, sir.
like the drop said, you were my quarterback at Lakewood. Probably one of my favorite, not only just teammate, but just guys, just to be around. And where I want to start at is we normally start on sports and get into your professional career, but I kind of wanted to do a reverse role and see what your mindset was when it came to pursuing such a feat, because to do something that's never been done before and it's labeled a field where it's dominated by women, mainly white women, and this is in Iowa. And coming up, you were an athlete. I'm sure this wasn't on your radar, and just to kind of make that shift, what was your mindset? Or did you approach it from a athletic background where you're a competitor and you want to kind of attack it in that aspect? Or just what was your mindset in wanting to do the things that you're currently doing now?
Yeah, bro, that's a great question. I think initially I had to develop that kind of competitive mindset to go after it. Because like you said, that wasn't something that growing up, it was like in high school, I'm going to grow up and be a nurse or a nurse practitioner. We all know, I think if someone would
That's
say,
gay.
Yeah, or, if it's like, you want to be a nurse? It's like, trying to ride?
Right.
For real, I've never seen it.
Yeah.
So, but I think, I remember very specifically, I came home on break. And when I first went to college, I was a business major. But I really didn't know what I wanted to do for real. I came home on break, and my parents, they was just, asking me how school was going. I was like, it's cool. I don't really know about the major. My mom was like, maybe you should look into nursing. I was like, I don't really know about that. Because she worked in healthcare, like social work. But something about that, I went ahead and I did research. I was Googling. I was up real late for hours just looking into it. And I seen job security. I seen what it was going to be in the years to come. I seen the high demand. And to be honest, football was starting to get rocky too, because we had a whole new coaching staff, so we wasn't really seeing eye to eye. And I already, I was up there really just for the love of the game. I didn't have aspirations of going to the league, nothing like that. But I also never felt like football was my ceiling. I always knew I was more than an athlete, right? So that also kind of had me dive into it. You know, at the school I went to, nursing was one of the most competitive majors they had to offer. So that also was kind of my green light to jump in. But it definitely wasn't smooth sailing because, again, I knew nothing about it. Nobody in my immediate family did it, so I kind of had to learn the language from start, and that was a challenge, you know. So, but I just went in.
You know, I think I can speak for myself personally. I think as young men coming from high school, going into college, and if you're an athlete, you tend to be one-track minded where you're a slave to a childhood dream, and you're not able to let it go until you're well into your mid-20s, early 30s. I know guys that are still trying to chase the league or chase football, playing semi-pro, and it takes a lot of maturity to kind of make that shift, you know, at an early age and realize, hey, this was my stint, you know, playing football. I have to find a direction that's going to help me grow for years to come. So if you had to speak to young men that are chasing the dream, whether it's through the JUCO level, college, semi-pro, what would you tell a young man that was in your position? Like, what are the determining factors that you would tell that young man?
I would tell them in general with anything, take advantage of your opportunity, any opportunity that comes, because I believe opportunities, they don't go away, they just go to other people. So whatever that might be, so if it's that window, if you know you're going all in on sports, if it's entrepreneurship, whatever it is, you know, I think there's a window and there's a fork in the road in everybody's life where you can veer towards average or memorable. And I think, you know, once you get to that fork, you know, you have that decision to make, you know, on how you want, you know, your legacy to be. You know, I think probably, to be honest, far too often, a lot of times we go through life very nonchalant, not really understanding that this, you know, we're here, we're blessed every single day, and not really leaving, you know, the whole goal is to leave no stone unturned, you know, like empty the clip, so to speak, really get out everything that you can possibly get out of yourself. So that's what I would tell, you know, anyone, is take advantage of any opportunity that you may have.
If I can jump in, man, I want to ask you something. You did an interview some years ago. I don't even know if you remember it, for the Challenger. You remember doing that interview? I think it was like right when you graduated.
Yeah. Yep.
And in the interview, you know, they talked a little bit about community, and you mentioned that the community meant something. You know, I'm a local guy. I went to high school, you know what I'm saying, with y'all. I went to USF locally. So I've always felt like I was still in my community, but it kind of seemed like some of the things you said, like you kind of took the community with you in a way. Do you feel that? And did you feel like coming from where we came from, did it do something for you as you went out into the world and figured it out and ended up stumbling on something really, really dope?
Wow, that's a great question. Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. I definitely always felt like it was bigger than me, and I was representing, you know, the city that I was raised in, you know, and my family as well, because I think that was that's where the seed was first planted in terms of, you know, that was the community within, you know, so to speak. But, you know, I definitely always felt like, you know, it was bigger than me. And when people seen me, even when I was in Iowa, they seen St. Pete, because that was always attached to me. You know, so I had a teammate, I know, you know, Shayon touched on the sports. When I was in college, I'll never forget this. You know, once I veered away from football, and you know, he told me this again. Iowa was predominantly white institution, and you know, usually the quarterback, you're like the face of the university or whatever. And I wasn't the starting quarterback, but he told me this one time. He said, you know, he was like, you know, you're our face. Because people don't really see. He was a defensive lineman. You know, you don't always get but he told me, he was like, you're our face. And just the way he said that, you know, I never forgot that. And I carried that even when I went into nursing, because I felt like he was speaking beyond just the field. It was like, yo, whatever you do, you're our face. Because, again, when I was in those classes, you know, no one looked like me. So I always, kept that.
Like that.
Yeah, I feel like that kind of transitions to the question I was going to ask you. Is like you being the face of something, you taking the city with you, and now you being back here right now, and in the field that you're in, there's not too many people that look like you, right? And do you feel a little bit of, I'm not gonna say pressure, but the idea that you're kind of like a unicorn, right?
He is.
Yeah. I mean, just based off the demographics, like there's not a lot of people who are doing that, but yet and still, here you are, and you're kind of now creating this lane and saying, hey, you can actually do this right here, right? I think we've had a couple people on before, and we're like, well, there's more than football. You get that chance, you get that scholarship, and you get there, and now you have an opportunity to use what football is going to give you, right? Get you a 4-year degree, whatever that is, and now you have an opportunity to create a new lane. Do you feel any pressure with that, or do you feel the obligation to now kind of bring people along or make more awareness of the position that you're in?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I feel pressure, and because I think I still have to be mindful of I'm one person, and just as much as someone doing something great that's a great representation of whatever's going on. Do I represent an entire culture? I mean, I don't. Just like if somebody does something that's unfavorable in the eyes of society, they don't necessarily represent or speak for the whole community. You know what I mean? So I think I have a healthy balance of how I view it, but I do feel a responsibility to bring that awareness, and just like how we chilling, ideally if somebody seen me, if they didn't see me in scrubs or in a white coat, they wouldn't think that I did what I did. So I think now just being able to, like, I seen that and I seen what it looks like, because in my journey, a lot of times I was just trying to see what it looked like. I was very even just cautious of my beard when I was in Iowa. Is it a little too long? Is it, because I didn't want to come off too aggressive in the clinicals, all of that, but I'd never seen it. Maybe if I had seen me, my perception would be different. So I think from that standpoint, yeah, I do feel, it's important, to be visible.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, I me personally, I love that, because I try to like, do like the Great American Teaching and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And the reason to me that stuff is important is because growing up, we only got like a handful of things that you could do.
Right.
Or it was a ball player or a doctor or a lawyer, maybe a firefighter, policeman, right. And those are phenomenal professions. Right. But you almost growing up, you felt like, well, I got to do one of these. And there's so many other things out there. And to your point, until somebody sees it, they don't know it's a real thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, right. Growing up, I didn't have any nurse practitioners in my family.
Right.
So for me growing up as a kid, that was never an option.
Right.
It was in the job I do now wasn't an option. I didn't know it existed. So I think there is a not like you said, not pressure to it, but I think it's great that you were willing to be different, to blaze a new trail, one that you hadn't seen, because now other people can see you, right? So now, like you said, you didn't have a you to look at. Well, now these other people, they don't have that excuse. Right. Now they can look at you, right? Now you can be the you wanted, or you know what I'm saying?
Right. No, that's deep. Yeah.
You mentioned blazing trails. When you do something that's never been done before, you normally get received a certain way. How did that community receive you, or that university receive you when you decided to just walk in that door and say, I'm going for this, even though no one's done it before that looked like me? Was it a lot of pushback, or maybe classmates not looking to help you out? How was that? How were you received early on the pursuit for this?
Yeah. No, you know what I can say, it was all love. I never really felt the pushback. If anything, I felt it just organically because I was kind of by myself. So something as simple as, I didn't really catch what they said in that lecture. I hadn't really built that rapport. It's like, did you get that note? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm going to have to figure that out. But I had some really cool classmates. And when I transferred to that school, they welcomed me with open arms. So I can't even, say that, they made it real hard for me, nothing like that. I had to do the work. That's just really, I had to do the work. It was more on me. But you know, and becoming the first, I didn't notice it right away. I think I was walking. There was one other girl in my class. She was a black girl, and we were walking through towards the end of our last year, and they had all the photos in the office of every year, and none of them, you know, had really anybody that of color in it. And she had posed a question like, I wonder if it was, you know, you'll see some women here and there, but never seen any men. And she posed a question, and from there, that's how it even really got out, you know. So that was interesting. I never even really thought about it. I never thought about it.
That's dope. You should get a statue at some point there. At least you got to get something, because it's just amazing to me. And I know you, so it's like crazy.
Have you gone back to see yourself on the wall? Have you gone back and be like, I'm him?
Well, no, you know what? I was back there a couple years ago because I got the Distinguished Alumni Rising Star Award. So I went back, and I do have an endowment scholarship there that I'm working on trying to raise.
Self high five.
Little humble flex.
Yeah, no. So I still try to stay. I try to stay connected to it though, for sure, because it goes back to that whole opportunity. They gave me an opportunity. You know, all I needed was a foot in the door, and then, you know, you got to do the work. But they gave me an opportunity, so I'm, you know, forever grateful to that university for the opportunity, because then it allowed this. So,
gotcha. The idea of opportunity is always big. You know, something what Bree said again. When we grow up, you know, if you play any kind of sports, if you're halfway good at it, I remember at a family reunion a couple years ago, might have been the last one. And we had like this little cousin who's like, I don't know if he's like 8 or 9 years old, but he was like Zion Williamson, just cut. Remember, like this little kid?
Oh, yeah.
And,
Just
and we're looking at him, and one of our older cousins says, oh, yeah, you know, that's the, you know, next linebacker right there. And then all of a sudden, me and Breeze are like, or, you know, it could be an architect.
Right.
And then Breeze is like, you know, or he could be an engineer. And I'm like, yeah, or he could be a finance major. And he's like, no. I'm like, no, or he could be all these other things. He doesn't have to do just that.
Right.
So when you're talking about that opportunity, and, you know, something that you mentioned about, you know, again, your parents saying, hey, there's like real good job security here in this. Why don't you look at this, right? The average NFL player, he's out of the league in 3 years.
Something like that.
That's not good job security.
Nah.
Last time I checked, right? So again, the fact that you chose to, you know, use what you have to get there is amazing. This is not even a question. I just want to applaud you for doing it, because I feel like a lot of us don't see those parts of, you know, athletes who are really good from the city going and doing something else, and now they have something else to build off of instead of just being St. Pete athlete legend.
But you know what, too, and I'm gonna say this because I think this gets missed a lot. You know, people assume you jump in. Everything was probably one of the things that I was most hesitant about pursuing, is because I knew that, all right, I'm gonna have to buckle down to get into the book. Like, I knew it was gonna require something.
Discipline, yeah.
Discipline, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of times there's, you know, Coach E.G. used to say, you know, you're scared of success. I think a lot of times there's actually a fear of applying yourself. There's sometimes a fear to have to learn this new thing, because it wasn't like I always was into the sciences like that. It's like, okay, this is something different. So, you know, I'm in college. I still enjoy myself, but there's moments where it's like, okay, well, I'm at to sit down because I don't know what they talking about in these books. You know what I mean? So, but it's that, and I was really thinking about that, and I think sometimes, you know, there's a fear to apply oneself.
When did you make that switch to where you knew, like, all right, football ain't going to be what I'm going to do in 5 years? Like, at what point in your college career did you say, all right, I like playing ball, I'm going to keep playing ball, but I need to actually focus on this now?
Yeah, the coaches made it easy for me because we wasn't seeing eye to eye, you know, and I wasn't getting the playing time, you know, that I felt like I should be getting. So that also helped, I think, accelerate. Even though I tried to hold on to it as long as I could, I was like, yo, I'm here because I love the game. I'm way up in Iowa, it's snowing, it's cold. I was like, yo, something got up. But again, I never felt like that was my ceiling either. So I always felt like I was, you know, I was meant to do more. so eventually I had to get out of there.
It's funny you mentioned you and the coaches not seeing eye to eye because it seems like it's a trend. If I know you like I think I do, you also didn't see eye to eye with Otis Dixon at times. You verbally said you call plays on your own. Like he'll send you in with a play, and you'll just change the play call to kind of get off the serious topics, and get into some football. Do you think coaching played a huge role in where you are today? If you go back to your prep years, college years, the coaching or lack thereof, did that play a role in how far you got in football?
If you would have asked me that probably 10 years ago, I probably have been like, yeah, the coach. But
there's like not to cut you off, but there's like a thread on Facebook of former Lakewood players that saying this coach is the reason why I'm not here, and there's no accountability. But how do you feel about something like that?
I don't know. And if I'm being honest, it's different because this is 33-year-old Kevin now too. So I'm trying to really put myself back in. Could the coaching could they have helped our outcome a little bit and put us in better positions to succeed? Maybe. But could we have also been really put in more work? Yeah. Like if I'm being real.
Right.
Even our team, like we was so talented, but we was playful at times. It's hard to say, but I won't really say that coaching, dictated how, my career and the experiences that I had. Nah.
Okay. What was your most memorable high school moment as far as playing?
Man, I got so many. Oh, man. Not just because I'm on this podcast, but
just let them know.
Yeah, let them know. No, I gotta say, I remember this because, as a matter of fact, this was my longest career touchdown pass to Shayon. It was 74 yards. One of my memories is it was against Osceola. We was at home, and I think we was actually fighting for a playoff spot because if we lost, we was mathematically eliminated out the playoffs. Right. It was my senior year.
Was that an actual call play before you get into it?
It was.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it was.
Because you got to ask.
Yeah. I was looking for you the whole way, too. But one of the reasons it's so memorable, again, you're sitting right here, but when I threw it, I really couldn't see you, but I knew where you were supposed to be. There was a hand, but I just threw it to the spot, and you ran right into it. You caught it in stride, and you was out of there. So that's definitely a memorable play. I got a lot of them, though. I got a lot of them.
I feel like Unc knew what he was gonna ask.
I feel like this conversation has come up before.
Still got footage of it.
He softballed that in there.
I had to lob that up.
You threw the alley.
Because I think people don't think I was nice, so I feel like we get it on record.
Fair enough.
Might as well.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's definitely one.
Got walked at the end, but I made it in.
Nah, you scored. You scored. That's all that
matters.
Yeah.
Sticking in high school ball for a sec, Lakewood, I felt like previously for the recent run I think we're kind of on now, I always felt like we had way more talent than what came out into the wins and losses. And even then, when the team wasn't necessarily making deep playoff runs and we weren't necessarily having 5 stars every year coming out, stuff like that, I felt like being the quarterback meant something at Lakewood. Did you feel that way when you were doing it, or was it, I just love ball and I'm just doing me, I'm just trying to play the best I can? I always felt like it's almost like being the point guard at Lakewood. Like, that always meant something. And I felt like being a quarterback, whether the team was great or not, certain games, it was going to be packed out. People always knew who the quarterback was. Did it feel to you like it meant something, or are you like, look, I'm just being me?
No, I think it definitely meant something, but I can't take all the glory in that because it was Corey too. Corey was really our main quarterback, especially we split like junior, senior year, but Corey was the main guy, and especially, shout out C. Hen, we was texting today, but especially, he was ultimately was the MVP of the All-Star game. So, you can't take nothing away from C. Hen. But I think it definitely meant something, and probably in a little bit, it was some pressure on there too to win. You know what I mean? Especially we had the talent. So
I felt like we always had talent. we didn't win as much back in those days, but I felt like if you compare some of those teams with the ones now, with the right coaching, because I don't think kids just get up and are motivated to want to practice well day in and day out. You have to be motivated. So coaching plays a huge role in getting kids up, teenagers up to play a game. Because a lot of the Lakewood guys, Dominique Peoples, Darnell Jones, who went to Indiana, a state championship track athlete. So we had a bunch of talent on that team that could match up with some of these other teams. Do you think if you replace our head coach at the time with Corey Moore and how they run things now, do you think we maybe see the playoffs? Because me and you were sitting here, we never played in the playoffs in high school.
That's sad. Crazy. 100%. I think so. Because I think what he's created now is a culture. It's a culture there, and they kind of expect to win. So some of that, like, again, we could, I could put it on the coaches, but me being older now too, I think we kind of had a mindset of if we be real, I don't even know how much we really, like we should have, expected to win. You know what I mean? Like I feel like now the culture is different. Like we went into it like, yeah, we probably know we was good, but I just don't think we really brought it together like we could have.
That's kind of interesting because when Javaris was here, he mentioned that he appreciated kind of being on the ground level of when Lakewood really started to roll, right? And again, we can go back years and know, like, man, some of these teams are actually really, really good. Maybe they were just a coach away. Like, I think certain people, like back when I was there, they really hated Coach Brute. Or they like Coach Brute.
A lot of people hate Coach Brute.
I like Coach Brute.
But like, there's some people who hated him, some people liked him. Defense, I think everybody loved Coach Cornetti. Like, they love that guy.
I like Coach Cornetti.
So, but it seemed like something was just missing because there was so much talent on those teams. Do you feel like any kind of, I don't want to say consolation prize, but saying like, all right, somebody saw that Lakewood always gets talent. There just needs to be something there to pull it all together, which I guess is what you're talking about right now. Is a culture now. Right. Before it's like, oh man, we Lakewood, but now there's like a real culture. Like, no, this is what we're supposed to be doing.
Right. Yeah. No. 100%. And so I guess to kind of answer Shane's question, I think probably having Coach Moore would have changed the culture and how we was moving a little bit too, but yeah, man, I don't know. Oh no. Maybe, man, because we had a lot of talent, man.
Across the board.
Do y'all ever feel like it was wasted, like a wasted opportunity for you guys? Like, do y'all feel like y'all were that good, or
we were that good, talent wise, but we just never worked together as a team. Everybody was for themselves. Jonte Green made it to the NFL. We played with them, so it's just guys left and right.
Yeah, Donnie too. Donnie was something that stands out with Donnie. When I was in college in Iowa, he went to the University of Indiana, and he had tickets. And I went to a game. He played Iowa, and I think he had to pick that game. He almost scored. He had a big hit. The stadium went crazy, and just seeing that live, like a teammate that I played with, it was on that kind of stage, the Big Ten. It was just like it was crazy to witness live. So you're right, all this talent. Probably the best player on our team, a lot of people may not even know about, in my opinion, I think was CJ, Cedric Sutton. I think he was probably the best athlete on our team.
Could play any position on the field.
100%. Yeah, man, I don't know, because I guess the years before us would say the same, that they probably had more talent than we had. So I think you'll always get that. But you can say what you want, but the numbers don't lie. And since Coach Moore has come,
right,
the numbers show that Lakewood has turned it around, and they are extremely competitive. Yeah. I mean, there's been some other changes too. I think their district changed a little bit too, right?
Definitely now, yeah. The state of Florida rolled out the whole new division setup, the metro versus the rural, I think it is. Yeah, so now they play different programs and stuff like that. Yeah,
but you can't take nothing. I mean, again, like since he came, they're winning.
Yeah,
that's the you can't take nothing from that. That's a fact.
I'll take a little bit from it because my senior year, we had the first winning season. That kind of jump started that era. Like we were in basically a play-in game at Northeast, and we lost that by a field goal, and that's the reason why we didn't go play Plant in the playoff. And so, yeah, I'll take a little bit of credit, but not.
No,
Coach Moore
as you should.
was amazing. But my senior team, we did start the winning. Yeah, I got a 6-4.
That was Coach Moore's first year.
That was Dixon's. It wasn't his last year. The year after was his last year, I want to say.
So, I see what you're saying.
So they actually made the playoffs one year with Dixon.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I'm with you. Like the proof is in the pudding, man. Like Coach Moore, and I think it's exactly what Pump kind of said. It was the talent has always been there, right? I think we can go year for year. You can go back names, guys. You can do that every year, and yet for whatever reason, we just couldn't put it together on the field. And then now, Coach Moore comes along. And I don't think at first he was getting any more talent. I think now we see the transfers coming in, and we see now the program is attractive, right? Now kids in the area are like, oh, I want to play football. I want to go play for Lakewood because Lakewood, they play in the city, the team's in Miami, and they making the playoffs.
Right.
But I think when he first started his winning, it was more grassroots. It's like, this is who I got.
Yeah.
I'm going to get the most out of these guys. I'm going to establish that culture that you talked about. And that's been the difference. I think the talent was probably equal. Right, I think the talent was probably close to the same, but then all of a sudden he understood how to make that talent work and how to make that talent win ball games. Right. You can go out on the field and you can be a dog, but if you're a dog as a quarterback or a dog as a receiver, but your line ain't on point, well, how good can you be? Or if you can put up 40, but the defense is so bad, the other team is putting up 50. Well, then how far are you gonna go?
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think the talent's probably been the same. It's just now they've got somebody in there who can really reel it all in, and now that culture's in place, and now kids know, okay, well, this is what it takes to win. It's got to be more than just me trying to put up video game numbers. It's got to be more than just me looking out for me. Well, how do I look out for the guy next to me, right? Without getting too deep into it, right? Just understanding what team ball is like. There's a big difference.
Yeah, and I think by the time Coach Moore came, some of the guys I was playing when I was a senior. Like I think of Reedy, Jock Jenkins, Barry, X. Like they were actually playing. Like they were vital to they were
playing
starting.
with us.
Yeah, they were. So by the time now they juniors and seniors. So Coach he still like had to mold them and whatever. But they was already. They had been playing varsity minutes for years now. They was They was ready. So.
Yeah, we had to get moved up after 10th grade.
Yeah.
We got moved up to varsity, but they showed up practicing with varsity. So
we was dependent on them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was like, yo, for real.
So you dropped Cedric Sutton's name out there.
Yeah.
Give me 4 other guys that you would put in your top 5 of guys that you've seen played at Lakewood, and who's the one guy that stands apart, unless it's CJ.
Like my senior year?
Just in general. It could be Cello, it could be Jock Gibbs, whoever comes to mind when you think of Lakewood football.
Jock Gibbs was a problem.
So that's one.
For real, he was a problem. CJ definitely in there. CJ was for real. I remember being on the field, and it was times I'd be in pursuit to a play, and he would have made and in that moment, I'm like, I wouldn't have made that play. But he would still be running. No, for real, it's like, damn, I wouldn't have made that play. But CJ, for real. Oh man,
Put you on the spot with that one.
That's 2.
Yeah, Big Dave.
I was hoping. Big Dave has not come up yet, and I'm so glad you brought up Big Dave, man.
He could dunk.
No, Big Dave could do everything. Man, Big Dave used to be at the Vista giving buckets.
Nah, Big Dave was
probably
monster.
his best sport, basketball.
Man, Big Dave could do anything, man. He was an athlete just in a big body.
He's like, 6'3", almost 300 pounds.
He played well. He played both lines. He was the punter.
He could do anything.
He could have played quarterback if he wanted to.
Like Big Dave was. Man, I'm so glad you brought up Big Dave.
That's 3.
Okay.
Man, you did put me on the spot with this. Oh,
all time Lakewood guys that you either played with.
And I know I'm
seen.
missing, yeah, but
There's no way you can get them all. Yeah,
This
no way you can
your
get 'em all.
favorite guys.
Yeah. All right. Donnie Donnie in there for me for sure too.
Speed.
I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Donnie in there, man, because it was times too being on the field. Like it was certain things that separated him. I knew like he's going to the next level. You know what I mean? It was just he was different. He was different out
I
there.
always remember Donnie foot racing people in between classes over there in the bus circle.
Donnie was.
I was scared to get hit by him early on.
Oh man, he was rock solid.
Donnie was a real deal.
Got one more.
I'll put Buck in there.
Jonte.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, because Buck really too single-handedly his senior year alone really was a big year that helped him even look and like he was a beast. He just took off senior year like kind of out of nowhere, you know, and he always had it, but he really took off from the running back standpoint. I think that really helped him get recruited at the last minute because he didn't always get all the tape that he had through junior year. He was playing different positions, so yeah, shout out Buck.
And then he ended up going to the league to play corner. So
Yeah,
shout
he's
out.
an athlete. Yeah.
I remember he grew up in Coquina around the corner from my cousin, Lil Leo. They used to find neighborhood dogs to run from. The cast was different, man. I remember him from way back when.
You know what people
He's
sleep
always been
on,
like
though?
that.
Paul was solid too.
Paul was a track athlete though.
Paul was solid though, man. I'm telling you, Paul would be hitting though, man. It seemed Paul was doing a lot of dirty work that probably didn't go on tape, but yeah, Paul was nice.
Okay.
I could keep naming, people because it's little things I would appreciate, throughout my time. But
You don't got to throw me out there. I know. We'll talk about it off air. Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Hartzog. Do you have anything you want to tell our listeners? Anything coming? I know you're a businessman. Anything you want to put out there? Any word of advice for our listeners?
Leave no stone unturned. I think that's my biggest thing. Just explore it. I think in my field of work, like we said, nurse practitioner, I work in like a kind of long-term care rehab setting. So, on a good day, patients are discharged. They go back home. They go back to their way of life. But there's that time too where patients decline and have to have that conversation about hospice, et cetera. And I'm saying that because, throughout this life, just really be able to say that you explored yourself, that you did everything that you wanted to do. Because, we're all going to get older, and when that time comes, you don't want to have regrets on what you wish you would have did, should have did, could have did. And with that being said, don't take things, so personal, so just, protect your peace and appreciate every day. That's what I would say. And if you need a cleaning service, Palmetto Cleaning Pro.
Here we go.
I like that.
Here we go.
Go ahead and plug that.
Yeah, Palmetto Cleaning Pros. We in Sarasota County, Manatee County, Pinellas County too. So
Now, what type of cleaning we talking?
anything, post construction, standard house cleaning. We do some commercial cleaning work.
Oh, you said post construction?
Mhm.
Like what? We might have to take this
Yeah,
out.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
we need
mean,
to talk.
anything. It depends. It depends.
Okay. No, seriously, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Well, we could talk off air. Kev's gonna stay with us for the rest of the show. We appreciate you for being here,
no
man.
doubt,
And
yeah.
make yourself at home.
Yeah.
Moving forward in the show, we'll get into 3rd and 5 after the break.
True.